All right, so back to studying Clojure. Hopefully, I could get off at least 30 minutes. Recently, I was learning about hash maps in Clojure, also known as maps. And what I've learned in my last session was that a key is defined with a colon in front of a word. And a map has like braces and then your keys and then the values. That's the way that they're declared. Uh, at least I thought that's the way that they're declared. So an example is, yeah, within braces, name. So your key, which always has a colon in front of it, name, kiwi. And then another key that always has a colon in front of it, color, green. Then another key, kcal per 100 grams, value 61. Another key, yearly production in tons, then that value is a map, right? So, uh, with that said, if I were to try to practice that, so one of the hangups that I have is like, okay, the way that they define a map, it looks very similar to me as a record. Like, I feel like it has the same function as a record. What Sergey was trying to help me understand is that a record forces you to be responsible to account for every single property when you're initializing it, um, or when you're maybe even mapping it to something else, potentially. I don't know. And a hash map within Clojure, you don't have to go through that overhead. It's less overhead. And supposedly, you only have to interact with the actual data that you care about, and only the data that you care about within that map. And you're not forced to initialize or address any of the other properties of that map, or in this case, not properties, any of the other keys in that map. So, just to try to build some muscle memory, theoretically, I should be able to say, like, I'm not sure how I would say that. I would, within parentheses, I would say let. Am I still doing let? And I would say my map. And then within braces, I would have, I wonder if I could use numbers in here. Probably not. First key. And then I would say 1. And then use a comma as a separator if I wanted to. And then second key. That's supposed to have a colon in front of it because it's a key, right? And then I would put space 2. And I just can't, well, I'll just have that right there. Okay. So I got to get my REPL running. Run my REPL. And I'm curious if the syntax is right. I always get confused with def, let. I think def is like global and let is scoped. So I want to shift Alt L to load in everything, and it doesn't like my syntax. So my map says failed, vector at whatever. Okay, so how am I supposed to write this? I'm trying to guess before I look at the book or look at it in the above example. Am I supposed to put this in a vector? Did I do anything? Nope. All right. So how am I supposed to do this? They use def. Well, I should be able to say let too. Is there anything else? Okay, we'll take this right here. All right. Maybe I should periodically look to see if I no. Okay. So is it the pound sign that comments things out? I forget how to comment things out. Is it the colon, semicolon? Yeah. Okay. So if I do Shift Alt L, that's fine. Def vehicle, and then so they had def in here. All right. So what if I get rid of this and I just say def? That matter? That's fine. Okay. So is it because let is only defined within the scope of a function, and that's why it wasn't compiling? I say compiling. That's why I was getting an error. Uh, let's see. So if we say define function, my function, my function, we're supposed to have this in parentheses, right? And I do that, and then I throw this in here, and it doesn't like that. I thought I had to have like a vector in here. And this says my map failed vector add binding spec. I thought when I'm defining something, I'm supposed to have I thought I'm supposed to have a vector. All right, let's say arg. Oh, and it's like, nope. Oh, because no, that's fine. Define function. Code vector arg. And then they have let. I'm not sure it failed vector at um so it says syntax error, macro expanding, my map failed, vector at uh, what is the difference? Like what am I really doing differently? I think Clojure, this is a convention. It's not clear to me what I'm doing wrong. Let me see. Are maps just supposed to be what if we got rid of this whole thing? contains. What could I put here? True. Form contains syntax errors. No, oh, because I'm missing that. All right. So that compiles. Okay. If I throw this in here, maybe the issue was I need to, yeah, that's a curly brace. Then I would return true right here. Is that the reason? Shift YP. Oh, I need someone to help me understand why the syntax is wrong. If I say def map shift YP, doesn't like that. What am I doing that's not right? Hold up. If I do shift YP, that's happy. If I do this right here, shift YP, that's happy. But I can't do it inside. I can't do it inside. Right. If I change that def to let, I think it would complain. Yeah, that's expected. Okay. But, well, to validate that, let's say I did. Hold up. Did I have this one? Yeah, I had it within parentheses. To validate that, what if I just said let x 1? Am I allowed to say that? No. Am I supposed to put this in brackets? Yes. Okay. Trying to fumble through this. Do I put this in brackets and then say let? No. Yeah, I'm confused. So this is when I go to Google and say Clojure the find map inside or inside function. Mapping a function on values. Return a map from within a Clojure function. Yeah. So, okay, this stuff is cryptic to me. Within a function body, you should define your local variables with let Yeah, this code looks a lot like you try to bend it into an imperative mindset. Def temp var equals new map for each k and do blah blah blah. Okay, I'm just looking for a simple syntax. Where's there a defined function? And did I already do it up here? Hold up. Color. Can I just return? I mean, theoretically, the last one should be return the map. That shouldn't be needed. That shouldn't be needed. It keeps saying vector. I don't know what this means, man. Def function. Yeah, I don't know what it means. Or am I supposed to do this? Difficulty? Crap. Difficulty? Nope. Contains syntax errors. Okay. Nope. Contains syntax errors. Def. Difficulty. Contains syntax errors. Now I can take this out. Put it right here. That's fine. Like, is I don't know. Thought that I could just do this right here. Why? All right, I quit. I can't figure this out. If you're viewing my screen and you know the obvious answer, can you please tell me? All I'm trying to do is get this function to work, in which I believe I should just be able to say my map at the end, and it just returns a map. So like I could call this get map. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I feel like Shift Alt P. I feel like this should work, and it's not clear to me why, like what I'm doing wrong. And syntax there. Okay, so I add another parenthesis, shift alt P. It keeps saying vector with a question mark. Add bindings. So then I'm like, okay, shift alt P, same thing. In this example, they have map, and they take a text and the integer. Like, I don't think that's related to anything. Like, I'm confused, dude. I could keep scrolling up for other examples, but I don't think I'm going to find it. Map, function. Well, I guess I could go on Twitter and ask them why this doesn't work. Okay, let's see if he responds. Oh, he already saw it. He saw it already. So he'll probably respond, hopefully. In the meantime, I'll just go back to my Cloud Reader and I'll just learn about sets. A set is a collection of unique values. Clojure provides hash set and sorted set. Hash sets are implemented as hash maps, with the key and the value of each entry being identical. Okay. Hash sets are fairly common in Clojure and have a literal notation of a hash with curly braces. For example, this right here is hash, and then within braces 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice in the preceding expression that when the set is evaluated, it does not return the elements of the sets in order that they were defined in literal expression. This is because of the internal structure of the hash set. The value is transformed in a unique hash, which allows fast access but does not keep the insertion order. If you care about the order in which the elements are added, you need to use a different data structure. For example, a sequence such as a vector, which we will soon discover. Okay. Use a hash set to represent elements that logically belong together. For example, an enumeration of unique values. As with maps, sets cannot have duplicate entries. So when they have a key like A, B, C, you get syntax error. Duplicate A. Hash sets can be created from a list of values by passing those values to the hash set function. So they have, I don't know what this, apparently hash set is the name of the actual function within Clojure.core. And they have A, B, C, D, and that's going to return hash within braces. C, B, D, A. Hash sets can also be created from another collection with the set function. Let's create a hash set from a vector. So they say set, and then within the vector they have A, B, C. Okay, I thought he was going to clearly point it out. He's probably busy. Oh. Notice that the order defined in the vector was lost. The set function would not throw an error when converting a collection of non-unique values to a set with the set function, which can be useful for deduplicating values. No copy cats please becomes the set or the hash set copy please cats no. So basically a set guarantees a distinct list of elements. In an order that it decides. Notice how one of the duplicate strings cats was silently removed to create a set. All right, so we look at that. No, copy cats please, and this copy please cats no. Okay. A sorted set can be created with the sorted set function and have no literal syntax as hash sets do. So there's a sorted set function, no copy cats please becomes cats copy no please. Okay, and that was different from our set function, which is okay. So you have set, sorted set. Notice that they are printed in the same way as hash sets, only the order looks different. Sorted sets are sorted based on the natural order of elements they contain rather than the order of arguments provided upon creation. Could you instead provide your own sorting function, or you could instead provide your own sorting function, but we will focus on hash sets as they are far more common and useful. So in this exercise, we're using sets. We will use a hash set to represent a collection of supported currencies. Note, a hash set is a good choice of data structure for a list of currencies because we typically want to store a collection of unique values and efficiently check for containment. Also, the order of the currencies probably doesn't matter. If you wanted to associate more data to a currency, such as ISO codes and countries, then you would more likely use nested maps to represent each currency as an entity keyed by a unique ISO code. Ultimately, the choice of the data structure depends on how you plan to use the data. In this exercise, we simply want to read it, check for containment, and add items to our set. So start a REPL, create a set, and bind it to the supported currency symbol. So they have a def supported currencies, and then they have a hash set of dollar, Japanese yen, euro, Indian rupee, and British pound. All right, let's try to do that. We'll say surprised he didn't immediately respond. Oh no, beggars can't be choosers. So we'll say def. We'll say currencies. And how's this supposed to work? We say a hash set, and we say Am I supposed to put this in double quotes? In dollar, or you could say USD, and then you could say peso. I guess yen would have to be capitalized, right? So yen, USD, peso. That worked. Is that what they wanted me to do? Yeah. All right. So as with maps, you can use get to retrieve an entry from a set, which returns the entry passed as a parameter when present in the set. Use get to retrieve an existing entry as well as a missing entry. So get supported currencies dollar. Okay. Get currencies. Let's say USD. I'm supposed to put that in quotes, right? USD like that. Shift Alt P. It returns USD. If I say get, I don't know, pound, which I didn't define in here, Shift Alt P, return nil. Okay. It is likely that you just want to check for containment and contains is therefore semantically better. Use contains instead of get to check for containment. Notice that contains returns a boolean and that get returns a lookup value or nil. Hold up. What? I didn't see the example. Hold up. Okay, they didn't have an example. They just say contains. So how is this contains supposed to work? Contains cannot be resolved. Really? Hold up. Because I need a question mark on here. And then collection and then key. True. Okay. It is likely that you just wanted to check for containment and contains is therefore semantically better. Use contains instead of get to check for containment. Notice that contains question mark returns a boolean and the get returns the lookup value for nil value or nil when not found. There is an edge case of looking up nil in a set that will return nil both when found and not found. In that case, contains is naturally more suitable. As with maps, sets and keywords can be used as functions to check containment. Maybe I should check my thing. Use the supported currency set as a function to look up value. So yeah, we already did that. Swiss franc isn't in the supported currency set, therefore the preceding return value is nil. If you try to use dollar string as a function to look up in the set, you would get the following error. Hold up, what are you talking about? Hold up. Then we put everything in. Yeah, we put everything in double quotes. All right, so what is it saying? If you try to put in the dollar string as a function to look up, let's say you would get a. Oh, okay. Uh, we cannot use strings as a function to look up a value in a set or map. That's one of the reasons why keywords are a better choice in both sets and maps when possible to avoid or to add an entry to a set, use a conj function as in conjoin. So conjoin supported currencies, monopoly money. All right, let's do that. Conjoin currencies, and we're going to say Bitcoin. That Shift Alt P. KKK. So conjoin is when you want to add another item to a set. We use associate for hash maps. We use conjoin for hash sets. Okay. You can pass more than one item to the conjoin function. Try to add multiple. Okay. Conjoin. Well, what if you try to add conjoin again? It's fine because it's pretty much a distinct function. All right. Well, what if we want to say, I don't know, Ethereum. Ethereum. I don't know how to spell Ethereum. Ethereum. I don't know. Whatever. Control. Oh, okay. Sergey, I thought you were gonna like answer my question like fast. If we go back to my thing, finally you can remove one or more items in the disjoint. Oh, okay. So there's a disj. So there's a conj and a disj. All right. So we'll do something over here, and we'll say disjoin, conjoin, disjoin currencies, and then we're going to say Bitcoin. I mean, theoretically, I should be able to say both of these, right? Yep. Okay. Take two. Yep. All right. So we discussed that, and then that's it for sets. If you ever need to, you can find more functions for working with sets and Clojure. But this is more advanced usage, so let's move on to the next vectors. Now, something I'm curious about is I haven't used sets in C# in so long. It's called a hash set. So with the hash set in C#, when you want to add something that already exists, it shouldn't throw away error, right? Yeah, I don't use hash sets that much, but it makes sense because usually I just take a list and then I just add whatever, and then I'll just call it distinct on it, the distinct method, and it returns a streamlined set of items that are all unique. All right, let me see if I can squeeze in this section on vectors. A vector is another type of collection that is widely used in Clojure. You can think of vectors as powerful, immutable arrays. They are collections of values efficiently accessible by their integer index. They are a collection of values efficiently accessible by their integer index. Starting from 0, they maintain the order of item insertion as well as duplicates. Use a vector when you need to store and read elements in order, and when you don't mind duplicate elements. For example, a web browser history could be a good candidate, as you might want to easily go back to the recent pages, but also remove older elements using a vector's index. And there would likely be duplicate elements in it. A map or a set wouldn't be of much help in that situation. All right, so a map or a set wouldn't be of much help in that situation. I understand why a set wouldn't be of much help, but why would a hash map not be of much help when you're making a journal of of web pages or visited web pages. The whole point of a map is, I mean, it's weird because it's a dictionary that has, I mean, map is a dictionary. Okay. In a dictionary, you can't have duplicate key value pairs. But that's the whole point of a map is it's a dictionary, and the whole point of a vector is just a list. A dictionary, you want to retrieve data based on a specific key that you have. And I guess with vectors, you're not looking for specific data. You're just processing it, and you're not trying to find specific items. Okay, I think I can understand that. Vectors have a literal notation with square brackets. So 1, 2, 3. Shoot, where am I at? 1, 2, 3. Okay, vectors can also be created with the vector function followed by a list of items as arguments. Vector 3, 2, 1. Okay. Why would I ever do that if I could just, maybe the context is when you're inside a function. I don't know. You can create a vector from another collection using the vec function. For example, the following expression converts a hash set to a vector. So vec and then hash set 1, 2, 3. All right, so vec and hash set 1, 2, 3. Okay. I can't take a hash set and take a vector. How how do you do a hash set again? Like a hash set is like this, right? If I said vector in here. No. How would you convert a vector into a hash set? You just say map. Yeah, I'm sure the next exercise will probably have something like that in there. In this exercise, we'll discover different ways of assessing and interacting with vectors. And so they say start the REPL, and then they say get, and then this is a vector of keys. Which is actually like, okay, so keys can be, to me, keys are like keys, I think, share some characteristics with discriminated unions because I feel like you don't have to like, it's not an integer, it's just a way of processing something that you define without giving a specific type to it if you don't want to. So I feel like a key could be like something similar to like a enum. So you could say dollar, or you could say USD, then another one could be yen, and another one could be pound. Okay. Yeah, like you don't have to put in double quotes or anything. Okay. Okay. Yay, Clojure. Hey, resist 56K. If you know Clojure, I could use your help. I have a question. How long ago did you send that message? 8:55. Okay, so I responded. Let's find a vector to a symbol to make the practice more convenient. Define Fibonacci. You said bind. So over here, they say get, and then within the vector, they say like the integer value. So theoretically, I should be able to say get, and then if this is the vector, I should be able to say 1, and it should return me yin. Okay. As with maps and such, you can use the vector as a function to look up items, but for vectors, the parameter is the index of the value in the vector. Add the next two lines of the whatever, conjoin. I thought conjoin was for a hash set. I mean, it would make sense that there's a common function that goes across the various stuff. So I could say conjoin and then that right there, and then say Bitcoin. Okay. Now, what if I wanted to say conjoin again? This time, uh, put in string called Durium. I can't spell. Whatever. Ooh, okay. So you can mix types within a vector, and I would assume all data within all enumerable structures in Clojure. You can mix types. Is what I'm thinking. Now, I'm not sure if you should, but it looks like that's what it is. Okay. So you say collections are functions too. Don't need to use get. Conj adds an element to a collection. The way it gets added depends on the type. Yeah, the types don't matter until you use them. Okay. All right. So my question for you is, this is going back to like half an hour ago. What's wrong? Let me get rid of all this stuff over here. That stuff doesn't matter anymore. How come I can't get this? Why can't I define a map inside of a function that I call get map? Like, why is it giving me an error? Like, honestly, like I don't need arg either. Like, I don't need this, but I get an error. Take two. I get an error telling me syntax error, macro expanding, Clojure.core, let at my map, which I guess is talking about this right here. This is let. Um, it's telling me there's an issue with let. And like what I want to do is like within this function called get map, I want to like create a map and then just return it. But I don't understand what this error is. Like, can you help me out with? I mean, I could paste it in here if that's helpful. Said you need square brackets around it. My map, and then why do I need? I mean, I'll do that. Then I need help understanding why I need square brackets around it. 'Cause I just thought, yeah. I mean, I'll do what you said. You know, and naturally, what you said works. But but why? Like, well, well, I mean, it compiles, right? And so then if I said get map, and then how does this work? I would just do that. What am I supposed to put there? Incorrectly arity for. That's not going to work, is it? Yeah, it does work. So if it doesn't take any arguments, then I don't have to provide an empty thing. I guess it's just implicit. But why do I have to say let and then put it within brackets? I don't understand that. Why do I have to do that? Argument binding is a list of pairs. So let var one val one var two val two. Okay. Oh, okay. Nah. Hold up. So is that the same thing as saying? Give me a second. Is that the same thing as saying? Take two. Is that the same thing as saying my val 33? Then I just return my val. Is that the same thing? The same rules? Okay. You all right? You made it clear. So when okay, let's go back. I didn't have to do that though. Like up here, I didn't have to put in when I say def and then this right here. Like this works. But I got confused. Like why can I say def my map and have the syntax without brackets? If I say let, it's the same thing. I don't need brackets in there. But when I'm inside of a function and I just want to plug it inside of a function, and all of a sudden I'm required. Hold up. All of a sudden I'm required to use brackets, but I wasn't required to use it outside of the function, but I'm required to use it inside of the function. Like that part I'm not understanding. He said you combine whatever to a name. The name only gets resolved within the scope of let. Yeah, but that's only one binding. Let can be used for multiple bindings. Uh, is that so? Does that mean that I should assume that whenever I see let, it's for let requires a vector, period, right? No, no, hold up. But I just demonstrated that it doesn't require a vector because I did it up here. So let doesn't require a vector up here, but when I'm in the actual like definition of a function, and I'm not even talking about the argument or the parameter of the function. I'm talking about the definition of a function. All of a sudden, I have to put in brackets because now let requires a vector inside of a function, but let doesn't require a vector outside of a function. Like that's where I'm hung up at. Like, why do I need let? Why are brackets required outside of a function definition? Let me start over. Why aren't brackets required outside of a function definition, but inside of a function definition, I have to have the brackets. I have to have them. No, this is let right here. Like, so if I do this, and then hopefully I'm wrong. Yeah, this is let without brackets. No brackets, and it's okay. I don't get any type of error or exception. But the same code, I can't do right here. It's the same code. Now all of a sudden the rules change on me. And so, like you said, just put brackets in here, but my brain won't let go of why do I need brackets in this condition? Why do I only need brackets within a function definition, but it's okay outside of a function? Like my brain can't process that. That's not doing anything there. It has no parentheses. Oh. Uh, oh. You're right. You're right. Oh. That was very helpful. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. That that filled in the gap. All right. So my map. Uh. Uh. Oh shoot. Hold up. What did I do wrong? Not understanding what's wrong with this now. I could have sworn I just did this already. That's not doing anything there. It has no parentheses. This now has parentheses. Why? What is the difference? Hold up. So this one over here works all of a sudden. What is the difference between this line and the line up here? Hold up. Oh no. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So let and then within bracket. Okay. So whenever you have let, you have to have brackets immediately and then put in whatever values you have in there. That's the way I'm processing it. All right. So like take two, if we say let um blah, uh, if we say let blah and we don't have any brackets in here, right, obviously this should fail, right? This should fail. Then we could say, okay, okay, I'm understanding that blah, and then we do this, and we're good. Okay, so let and then brackets, and then whatever you want to put in the brackets. That is the syntax that's required for let. Let, bracket, and then content inside brackets. Okay, you helped me understand that. I'll be right back. Going to look for a book I used to learn Clojure. No, no, I got it. I'm good now. Um, yeah, that was the disconnect. I think I'm going to remember this forever now. How long have I been streaming for? Oh, I hit 1 hour already. All right, my goal was to do at least half an hour. In the preceding example, we use let to create 3 local bindings and improve the readability. We use count to calculate the size, blah, blah, blah. In the body of let block, we use the local binding to add those 2 last items to the end of the list. Lists are sequential collections similar to vectors, but items are added to the front at the beginning. Okay, so it's a linked list. Also, they don't have the same performance properties, and random access by index is slower than with vectors. Random access by index is slower because vector is probably like an array, right? Like, and when you're using a list, it doesn't matter. You have to, in order to get to an item or element within the list, you have to visit all the other items that precede it. Even when you have the index to it. Okay. So why would a list be viable? I would assume, well, in general, just linked lists are viable for operating on the very first or the very last element of that list. Um, we create lists with the literal syntax, parentheses. But to differentiate lists that represent code and lists that represent data, we need to use a single quote. So 1, 2, 3, there at boom. And then you have apostrophe 1, 2, 3 that returns 1, 2, 3. And then you have plus 1, 2, 3, and that'll give you 6. But then if you use apostrophe and then plus 1, 2, 3, that'll give you plus 1, 2, 3. In the preceding examples, we can see that a list that is not quoted with quote throws an error. All right, so basically you use a single quote within parentheses that represent a list. If you don't want to evaluate that expression, you just want to represent it. You use a apostrophe in front of a list to represent the list, but not to execute or not to evaluate the list. Okay. Like, why would I ever? Why would I ever do this though? Is it just for the REPL that I would use an apostrophe? Like, I wouldn't write programs having an apostrophe in front of a list. To differentiate lists that represent code from lists that represent data, we need to use a single quote. Yeah, so they say you only use apostrophe to represent code. Okay, I got that. Uh, so let me go back. Can't find it, but probably gave it away or lost. Yeah, list is like linked lists. You have to visit each to get to the next. Lists are good for iteration when you don't need to store each value. Yeah, you wouldn't. It's going to be a literal. You might as well use vector for good random access performance. Okay. Out of curiosity, how long have you been practicing Clojure? Like, I just started like I think like 3 weeks ago, but I've only been like doing maybe hour to 2 hours a week studying it. Uh, in the body of LabLock, we use local binding to add the last two items. We mostly use lists to write code and macros, or in cases when we need last in, first out type of data structure. For example, a stack, which can arguably be implemented with a vector. We create lists with the literal syntax, but to differentiate lists, yeah, I already read this part. Hold up. What's this? You can also be created with the, in the preceding examples, we can see that a list that is not coded with a apostrophe throws an error unless the first item of the list can be invoked as a function. Lists can also be created with the list function. So they have list, and then they have your keys in here. I like the keys part. That's dope. It reminds me of discriminated unions in F sharp. So we say list, and then we say A, B, C. Yeah, I like that. To read the first element of a list, use first. Okay. Theoretically, I should be able to do this, right? Say first. See if I'm on point. Yeah. All right. And then rest. It's going to be okay. Yeah, I get that. Um, I wonder what pattern matching in Clojure looks like. But first, let me go ahead and add this to my muscle memory. So they say use the word rest. Okay. Okay. Uh, I saw it in school, but didn't get into it. Then I got a book and really learned it a few years ago, but then still ended up now using it. I started getting into it again. My book was Clojure Programming Practical Lisp for the Java World. Yeah, I got several books. So I got the Clojure Workshop. That's the most recent book that I bought. Then I bought, but before that, like maybe a year and a half ago, I bought Getting Clojure and Programming Clojure. And like, I mean, I read through like the books, but I never like actually, I didn't know how to install the IDE. So I was just stuck reading the book, both of them. And so I had a gist of like what Clojure was about. At least I believe I had a high level understanding of what Clojure was about from these first two books. But this is the first book where like I kind of have a mentor like 1 hour out of the weekend that helps me. Um, and so we record uh, Clojure sessions of him like helping me understand certain exercises. And so this is the book that I use to try to prepare before I meet with him so that I'm not wasting his time and I'm actually demonstrating that I am trying to learn outside of his his time so that when I do use his time it can actually benefit me and him. So this is the book I'm going through right now, The Clojure Workshop. So uh you can't run the repo, it's hard to experiment. Yeah, I couldn't install the IDE at all, and he got me up and running using IntelliJ. So, uh, so out of curious, so it sounded like you came from a Java background. Uh, I guess the question is, and if you don't feel like writing it out and you want me to just send you an invite, if you don't mind, uh, I don't know, showing your face, or you don't even have to show your face. You could turn your video off, but like it would be a value, and maybe it would be easier if I could pick your brain about Clojure, and maybe I could get a different perspective if that's okay with you. You don't have to show your face, but maybe things would be easier if if I sent you an invite for you to hop on here, and then you could like disclose to me like verbally, some of the things that you experience that I'll probably experience, and what got you over that hump. I'm not sure if you have 5 or 10 minutes to do that. If you don't, I understand. Because if you can, then I'll just copy this link right here and paste it. Else, time constraints, or you're not comfortable. I understand that too. So that's the link. Uh, of course, I'm not even sure if you can even copy paste it. It looks like you can't, because I can't copy paste it. Uh, but I don't know. No pressure. Um, Outside of that, who's this? In this exercise, we will practice using a list by reading and adding elements to a list. Start the REPL. It's cons. You can add items to your list by using the cons function, which operates on sequences. I wish they just had a general function for adding items that goes across all of them, from sets to hash maps to vectors to lists. I feel like there should just be a general abstraction for adding and removing. Like, why? I understand there are different data structures, like in regards to computer science, but as a language, it would be a lot easier if there was a standardization of adding an item and removing an item. There would. Like, just put the abstraction on there. Now I have to learn all these specific words that do the same thing, um, in which the only difference is the data structure that you're doing it on. Like, that abstraction should be there. Sorry, I won't. But I started with Clojure for a hobby stuff, but I am now trying to get into it again for actual dev. You don't need to use cons unless you want lazy sequences. Okay. Uh, so let me just go ahead and plug that in. So cons go to work is my to do. All right. So I guess I got to define a list called let keep freedom keep forgetting the two keep forgetting the parentheses. So let, and then to do, and then why do I have a hyphen between to do? Let to do, and then How's this going to work? We have this, and we have uh, we'll use keys. Wake up. Okay. Crap. What did I do this time? Wrong number of args. Past the keyword. Is this supposed to be deaf? Okay, let me try to figure out what I'm doing wrong now. Let to do. I don't see anything wrong with this. Let is always supposed to have brackets immediately after it. I say that there's going to be this value called to do. Oh. No, this should be fine. What am I doing wrong here? Why? If I said let blah equals, and I did this right here, it says the same thing. Am I supposed to have an apostrophe right here? I'm so confused. You have to return value in that let. Oh, okay. It probably annoys you watching me trying to learn this. Ah, shoot. It still gives me the same thing. When you use cons, it still adds to the start of the list, but it's represented as head, rest, boom, 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 boom. Okay, like, what's wrong with this right here? I say let, I define my symbol called to do. This is my symbol. And I assign my symbol a list of keys. I should be able to do that. And then I return to do. Like this should work. This wrong number of args past the keyword. If I said to do equals 99, that matter? Yeah. So that works. So I can't assign a key to a list. It looks like I can't assign a key to a list. Like if I said within string, it's weird. If I said wake up using a string instead of the key, uh-oh. Why is a string giving me errors? Cannot be cast to Clojure, .lang, .function. I'm so confused, man. This is the most annoying. Well, you want it to be a list, you need the apostrophe. Says you are evaluating a keyword, but it has no argument. or collection. You want it to be a list, you need apostrophe. God, this is going to take me forever to learn. This is going to take me forever to learn. All right, so now we use a key. Ta-da! All right, so why does this work now? You use a apostrophe to represent data, I thought, and you leave off the apostrophe on the list declaration when you want to evaluate it. So if we left this off, key wake up will be evaluated within the list. I don't understand like what's happening in code. I understand what it takes to fix it, but I don't understand like why the error is occurring. Like, okay, this apostrophe makes this list data. Okay. Without the apostrophe, it makes that list an expression. Okay. So if we define a symbol, we're assigning that symbol what I thought was the result of an expression, which is list items. So what's the difference between assigning a symbol an expression or the result of an expression versus assigning a symbol data? Like that's the part my brain's not picking it up. No worries. It's easier to mess around with learning list style when you got no time pressure since it's just different. The keyword expects a collection where it can get a value. So if you use within a list, wake up, and then the map wake up value. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sleep on this. What else does my exercise say? Cons goes to work. Oh yeah, let me do that real fast. So I should be able to say cons and then to do. How does this cons work? What's the order of this cons? It's it's the argument and then the list. Okay. So the list is to do. The argument is grab coffee. I don't know how to spell coffee. Damn it. F this, man. Hold up. I thought I defined to do. Maybe I didn't. Am I supposed to say def to do? I'm so confused. I, mm, yeah, def to set it up. Yeah, def to set it to the namespace or global. Okay. Def, and then I don't need the brackets, right? I don't need the brackets, right? All right, so you use def for it to be global and for it to actually hit the namespace. Let is only meant to be scope to a function and it won't be applicable towards the actual namespace memory. So theoretically, this should now work. Cons grab coffee to do. Got it. And what I meant to do was do this right here. Add a key, then say grab coffee. And if you want to remove it, how do you remove something from a list? So yeah, since stuff is single binding. Cons. Yeah, so the con J is what they were saying earlier for I thought it was a set. I'd rather use that. No, but that's no. Yeah. It has the reverse order compared to cons. Okay. How do I how do I remove an item? Is removing an item like essentially a filter? And that's how you do a removal? Or is there literally a function to remove an item? There's rest. But we're talking about a list. How do you remove an item in the list? All right, so this is where like if you're still online, so use rest next. Okay. Yeah, I forget. A list is literally a linked list. In C sharp, like we forget, we don't even think about it actually being a linked list. We just use a list for everything. Okay. My brain hurts. So you're saying something like this. You're like rest to do. That's not right. Okay, how does this work? Rest is they say rest. Boom. Yeah. Why does that not work? Hold up. Oh, because I only have one item in here. All right. So we can imagine that we had wake up, then grab. I don't know how to spell coffee. Do I need a comma, or is that comma? Hold on. How does this work? Rest to do. Okay. So because it's a list, if you want to remove an item, it's only going to remove the first item, and you call rest on it. And that's a list. Well, yeah, but shouldn't I? have access to, no, I don't know if it's called a doubly linked list, but shouldn't it be just as easy to remove either end of the list, not just the front of the list, but shouldn't it be just as easy to remove the back of the list, or is that just a different structure? I guess that would be a vector because hopefully with a vector, you should be able to know the number of elements in that vector, and then in the vector you can access it via the index. I gotta go, but maybe watch some of the Clojure TV videos on YouTube about their design. All right, I'll do that. Some of this may make more sense if you know your rationale, if you know their rationale. Yep. All right, cool. I appreciate it. Resist 56K. Take care. Thank you. And I don't know. I've been streaming for an hour and a half. I'm going to. All right. See ya. Bye.